and this is The Real Knitwives of Hunterdon County. And this is episode 3. Which I have to say, like, I have to apologize for my tardiness. I was tardy to the party for my last edit.
Well, we shouldn't say last. It was your first chance to edit the video.
And number 1, I procrastinated because that's literally just me. Number 2, it's the holiday season, so every weekend that I did have was packed. And I mean packed with stuff.
We've been hella busy since we last, podcasted. There's been a lot going on, and, we'll get into that. But I did get a chance to watch episode 2 the other day before I went to work, and I commend you. I think I'm passing the baton your direction, because...
Yeah, you're not allowed to edit anymore.
I don't want to. I really don't want to. I think you had a lot of fun doing it, and I really liked what turned out, so hopefully y'all did too.
Except do not at me, because I understand I made some typo errors. I know.
We know how to spell Hunterdon County, we promise.
It's a common typo. Name. Yes, it's a common typo. I missed the N, okay? I'm sorry. Don't at me.
Yes, for those who don't know or don't live in Hunterdon County, there's an N at the first front of the word, not just at the end. So.
And there's no double I in Westminster.
No.
Westminster?
Westminster.
I'm not English. I don't know.
It's okay.
All right. So how was your week?
Oh, gosh. So let me just start off by, it's been busy with work and everything. I work in mental health and government. And so this time of year is particularly busy because we see an influx of, people seeking mental health treatment, or relatives asking for people to receive mental health treatment. And so there's a ton of paperwork to process, lots of meetings with lawyers and judges, and so it's a lot going on. And so it's been busy with work. But anyway, so my cousin Kim hosted, and it was lovely, and we got to exchange gifts with the little ones and see them run around and enjoy. And, now this year, I get to relax on Christmas. I don't go anywhere now. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
It's just going to be a personal Christmas between you and Dan.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It's going to be great. But how about you? How was your week? Ish.
So my work is the opposite of Madison's, where everything's winding down. A lot of people went on vacation, and I kind of, am coasting along, which is fantastic because I don't want to work extremely hard right now. I do have work to do, but it's not a lot, and I'm not expected to do a lot. My hands are tied. There's not much I could do. So I'm just enjoying my festivities and just chilling.
Very nice. Very nice. But so to kind of get into what today's about, this is probably going to be our last episode before the end of 2022.
You could just say the last episode of 2022, and then we will start anew.
Okay. All right. But listen, we're super excited to do tonight's episode because this episode is a year in review.
Yeah, and we should get started on it because we got a lot to go over.
A ton. But before we get there, can we just talk about what we're working on real quick? And then get straight into the year review.
So is this our whip corner?
This is our whip corner. Woo! Okay, you go first. What are we working on today?
All right, so I'm on the verge of finishing up my grandmother's shawl, which is the... How do you pronounce it? The Eichnick?
Oh, that was bad. That was so bad. Ishniach,
I
think.
Ishniach.
That's closer than what you said.
And I'm Scottish, so this is embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I'm Scottish, and that was embarrassing.
Ishniach. Anyway, I did finish the Celtic knot pattern.
Woo!
I lost yarn chicken. No. And so I had to find something that was kind of close to the color. You're not going to be able to tell it on camera. It's only a couple rows, but I can definitely tell in person. And my husband said, don't worry, she's 91, she won't be able to tell.
Your grandmother's going to love it no matter what. And
yes.
Can we just talk? Let's bring this a little closer. Like, look at those Celtic knots. Like, so proud.
Oh my god. I am so excited to see it blocked. Oh, it's gonna look amazing.
It's gonna be amazing. Those cables are gonna just bloom and look amazing.
I'm gonna have to post on Instagram, just like on our Instagram, how amazing this is.
But yeah, so I'd love to see that once it's blocked and everything. Now, what are you doing? You look like you've started picking up the blue again.
So here I dropped some stitches.
Oh god.
From showing the shawl. So, yeah, so it is called like a kind of like a horizontal braid.
Okay.
So there's a little horizontal braid at the bottom, and it kind of creates like these long stitches, knit stitches kind of in the middle.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do how the pattern is written, which is a beautiful lace portion at the bottom, and it's worked horizontally. I decided that I'm not going to go that far into it. I'm on a limited time schedule, and I got another project to finish, so I'm just going to do another horizontal braid and then bind off.
That sounds awesome, and it looks really, really good.
I know. I'm super excited about it. Hope she loves it. I will let you know what her opinions are.
Super comfy cozy, and we definitely need a picture of Grandma with said shawl.
Of course.
Hopefully she's smiling.
Yeah. We're crossing our fingers.
Okay, so I'm currently working on, this is called the Half Moon Tee by Hoard Designs, and it's a gift for a friend. It is not a Christmas gift. One of my friends, Ashley, is turning 30 in the near future, and obviously this is not going to be ready for her birthday, but I am, she asked for, well, she didn't ask, I kind of told her that I was making her something. I gave her some options, and she asked for this design. So the awesome thing about this design is that it's going to have a crescent moon motif, which is actually the section I'm about to start. But so far, we have different like triangular designs, some vertical striping, which is 3 colors. So pardon my really kind of like, you can't really tell on camera, but it's kind of stiff in my 3 color sections. But I'm hoping that with blocking, it'll kind of bloom out and it'll loosen. But the nice thing about the sections of 3 color work is that it's on the neckline. It's nowhere near the chest or the shoulders, so it's not at a place where it's going to be super tight. There's not going to be tightness on her body, which is great. Now I'm using 100% alpaca in this light gray. It's not dyed. It was a beautiful like investment skein that I picked up. It was like 650 yards. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to use alpaca. Like, it's going to be great. Didn't have a project. The other 2 colors are from Sweet Sparrow Yarns, which is one of my favorite yarns of this year. In the color Still Waters.
Ooh.
So pretty. And then the other color is called Gingerbread. And it's got little, what are they called?
Nips in the tweed. We got nips in the tweed. Nips in the tweed. You can see that there's a theme going on.
Ever so slightly.
I want that on a shirt. Nips in the tweed.
We really need to have that. We need to have merch eventually.
Yes, and our first merch is going to say nips in the tweed.
They're not called nips. They are called neps. N-E-P-S. But I know last video I said nips.
And the first, actually both episodes you said nips.
Well, guess what? They're nips in the tweed now.
Nips in the tweed.
But yeah, so this is the Half Moon Tee. You'll see progress eventually. My hope is that I will get enough time this weekend to finish the moon motif, and then I'll split for sleeves. I'll see Ashley next week, and that way she can try it on and make sure that I don't need to do any more before, you know, going to the body.
Body Island.
Body Island.
Body Island.
But yeah, so that's kind of Whip's Corner, really. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so in our year in review, I mean, how was 2022 for you?
Not to be a downer, but it sucked.
Yeah, it really did suck.
Knit-wise, I did pretty well.
Yeah.
But my God, it sucked.
Personally,
Personally, yes. And just really a real downer.
Yeah.
Did not recommend it. Hoping 2023 is better for everybody involved.
Yeah. No, we lost a good few people this year, and you know, it's just been, you know, a not so easy ride. And you know, thankfully we do have knitting and crochet and spinning as like stress relievers and something to fall back on when we are not feeling our greatest selves.
No.
And I would say that we've produced quite a few interesting items this year. So I don't know, maybe we should get into those.
All
How do
right.
you feel?
Yep.
Okay.
This is our year in review.
Insert captions and sound.
All right. Do you want to start off?
Okay, sure. So I would say there's a definite theme to a bunch of my stuff this year. Most of the items I finished were in the realm of color work. So 2022 for Madison is a year in color work.
But what introduced you to color work?
Oh gosh. There's a project that was my first color work project that I did not finish the second part of. But Victoria has so kindly brought them with her to showcase. Do you want to discuss them?
Yep. So, so Madison and I made these octopus mittens by Emily Peters. So you can find it on Ravelry, and we'll have it in the show notes.
Yep.
We did the same color theme for both the mittens. So
Yep.
red octopus,
Blue Sea.
blue sea. So this was her first color work project that I kind of voluntold her to do.
Yeah. I didn't
and
have
it's
much of a choice.
And it was her first project doing double pointed needles.
Yeah. No, and it was really like scary for me to do mittens as a first project in color work because like a lot of people might choose like a hat or a cowl. You're using circulars, you know, you're going in the round. I've got these 4 death points coming at me and constantly like needles slipping down, so I'm picking up because obviously I have to use Chiagu because there's no other way.
No.
So I successfully finished 1 mitten, and I'm still working the second mitten, and that project was started January of 2022. I don't remember what day. We were kind of in lockdown, so
Yeah, and I also want to say that this glove or mitten fits perfectly.
yeah.
And this one has a little problem.
Uh-oh. And why is that? Do you know why?
That is because it was my first time working with a Norwegian thimble. So Madison introduced me to the Norwegian thimble during this project, and I switched in between. Now, word to the wise, never, ever, ever switch your technique midway through a project, even when there's 2 things.
Yeah,
because you get large and in charge, and then normal size.
Yeah, no. So her left mitt is a bit big. Way big. Did you try your normal trick throwing them in the dryer?
Oh yeah, I yeeted them into the wash time and time again, and they did not shrink.
Interesting.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. Well, seeing as that was the first color work project I ever did, let's show you the second one. And this is why the mitts never got finished.
Mm-hmm.
So my first time doing a full color work, completing a full color work project, and it was a test knit. So this is the lovely Peacock Cowl by Sunshine Stewart, who's based over in the UK. I found this test knit. I first was like, okay, I want to start test knitting. I thought it would be super fun. I like a challenge. I'd be learning new techniques. I would be meeting new people. And so I signed up for YarnPod, which is a test knitting website. Like you connect with different tests that are going on and that sort of thing.
Are we a yarn pod?
We are a yarn pod. We are a yarn pod. But so I found Sunshine Stewart through YarnPod, and I was accepted into her test knit for this, which ran through January. Unfortunately, I did not finish during the test knit because I got some sort of really strong flu, and so I was out for a week. and that really put me behind schedule. But the one thing I really love about this project, for one, you do have a color work section, which was super, super fun to work. I used Mad Tosh's Dubrovnik, which is the navy color, and then this is Shibui Knits Lunar in Bone. And then this, if you know anything about me in person, I love mustard. This is Blue Sky Fibers Metallico and Gold Topaz. But this is called the trellis. This was the real favorite for me. I love this trellis stitch. I also worked a Latvian braid on this edge. And now, I love this project so much that I taught a class to Victoria on this project. So I could, test my skills as a teacher. So, Tori, how'd that class go?
So for the most part, it went very well, except at the end. So a portion of the, so it's double-sided, so you can wear it, one way or the other way. I'm really bad with this camera still.
It's okay.
Or the other way. And Madison, I trusted her as a teacher.
Wrong choice.
I trusted her as a friend.
Big mistake.
I trusted her just as a general human being.
Your judgment skills are horrible.
Yeah, so she basically told me to seam the sides inside out, and then I had to undo it and redo it, and the yarn was sticking on itself and getting knotted, and it was a bad experience at that point.
I apologize profusely for this whole experience.
But what makes up for it is that if you look closely, what do those feathers look like? Now you may be thinking like, oh, they could look like, I don't know, maybe a dog or something. No, they look like the Pringle Man.
So the entire
you can't unsee it now.
Community that we're a part of now calls it the Pringle Man cowl, just to get a rise out of me.
You can't unsee it now.
Can't. No. Anyway, so that was my first time teaching you something. And I will say, by the end of that project, you did know how to 3-needle bind off.
Do I remember how to do it?
No.
When I learn a new technique, I never remember it.
Of course not.
I have to relook it up.
It takes a few times. Do I know how to tubular bind off? No. I have to watch Jen's video every single time I do a tubular bind, and then I rip it out and do it over again because I hate it.
If it's not knit, if it's not purl, and if it's not make one, then I have to look it up. I'm sitting there flipping through books.
Knit two together, yarn over, those things too. Just to name a few. But okay.
I gotta look it up.
So again, I said this was the year in color work. So because the Pringle Man and the octopi weren't enough.
Right.
We had to move on to bears. And specifically bears with hats.
Yep.
Look at
So
the bears with hats. They're so cute.
This pattern is called the Unbearable Hoodie by Les Garcons.
Yep. Max the Knitter.
Or Max the Knitter. This pattern specifically goes by Les Garcons. So I was teaching a class on how to make this sweater, and my only student was Madison. So I made this sweater twice before this moment, and I was making a third for a friend, which I'll post the picture on our Instagram, and I'll also post on our video. Because I don't have it with me, obviously I gave it to the friend, but if you love a pattern, do not do it more than 3 times because you will hate the pattern after the 3rd time.
No. I would say twice is enough.
Twice is enough.
And then give yourself a little bit of a breather, but it seemed
Right.
like you did this pattern back to back to back. You made one for yourself.
Right.
Then you made one for Sean.
Right.
Which, his is adorable, by the way.
He wears it all the time. He was wearing it when I left.
So cute. He looks like a little tiny teddy bear with his little bears. And then you made one for our friend Erin. And that was the one you were working on while you were teaching the class.
Right. And at a certain point, I was just dragging my feet because it was the same thing over. It was back to back to back, and I just I couldn't do it anymore.
No. And the hard thing was, I think, for you, is that you wanted to enjoy doing it with me.
Right.
But you had already gotten so sick and tired of doing the damn pattern.
Right.
That you were kind of like, okay, Madison, you feel like doing the hood? Like, I hate hoods. I don't like doing hoods. I figured I'd just, like, figure out a neckline and then just, go with it.
Right.
So I do have an interesting story. I was finishing up this sweater, and you obviously in this pattern you do the hood last.
Right.
I chose not to do a hood, but I needed to do some sort of neckline, so I'm working a neckline, just decreasing a little bit, measure, like the first time I'm marking up a neckline, so I'm measuring my neck, like with a measuring tape, and Dan's like marking it to make sure like I'm doing it correctly, and we lose power.
Oh yeah.
So that night in like March or April, we lost power, and I've got flashlights on and candles lit and everything, and I'm just like, I gotta finish this pattern. I am so done. I want to wear the thing. You know when you just want to wear the thing?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm like doing this old school style, like 1800s style in the dark. But I finished it, and the neckline, while it was a little tight at the first wear, now fits perfectly, and there's no droop. It was like my first nice little chance at a mock neck. Love it. I do get a lot of wear out of this. I love tucking it into a pair of jeans. My favorite thing, though, about this maybe isn't even the fact that it's color work. I got to try out a really cool yarn, which this is not one of the colors in the sweater, but this is called Barocco Vintage DK, and this is in the colorway Dove. I used that yarn for the entirety of the sweater. It's held up. It is a bit pilly after the first couple wears, but you take a dull razor and shave your sweater, and you're fine.
Right.
So, but it holds up, and it's super soft.
Oh yeah.
Like I've worn this like probably like 10 times this year.
Wow.
And it's still like super soft.
Wow. You did a great job on that.
Thanks. I'm really proud of it. But yeah, you want to share something, or am I just gonna keep talking?
Oh, I'll share.
Okay.
So we went on the Wool Walk in New Jersey. So the NJ Wool Walk, which is basically, local yarn stores all collaborate to kind of have like deals, and they have stamps, and then they have their own stitch markers. So you go to a bunch of yarn stores all over the state of New Jersey, and you basically buy a bunch of yarn.
and they'll, at each store, they could be hosting trunk shows throughout the time during the festival, with different local dyers or regional dyers that come in specifically for the festival.
Right.
It's like super cool, because if you don't get that yarn normally, it's an awesome chance to try out that yarn.
Right. And every local yarn store has something different. Like, our local yarn store doesn't have specific things, so when I go to another yarn store, I usually buy something that I can't get at Beyond Yarn.
Yeah. Like one example, I just mentioned Madeline Tosh before. They don't sell Madeline Tosh currently, but there's other stores in the area that do, and they do offer it at a discount during the Wool Walk, which was like super nice to, stock up on that, because I wouldn't necessarily buy something at another store that I could get at Beyond Yarn. You know? Like, I wouldn't go buy Cumulus somewhere else, because I get Cumulus at Beyond Yarn.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I found during the Wool Walk was a drop spindle and some roving yarn from Sweet Georgia. Now, I was kind of enamored with spinning because our friend Jess at Piano Spun Yarn, she spins so much. She spun on like a mechanical wheel, and then she also has an electric wheel, and I was just kind of enamored with the spinning, and like you make your own yarn. Yeah. Like you're making your own yarn. But you're bypassing.
You're creating. It's gonna be unique to you too.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
No one else is gonna have this because you did it.
Right. So I was enamored with it. And so I brought a drop spindle and some roving yarn, and I was practicing, and I wasn't really into the drop spindle, so I was like, I'm going to invest into what is called the Electric Eel Wheel by Dreaming Robots, or I Dream Robots. Definitely going to post it in the show notes.
Yep.
But it's kind of like this 3D printed like electric wheel that you can spin on.
Okay.
Or like molded, like plastic molded, and it's cheaper than any other electric wheel out there. Like other wheels cost like thousands of dollars, and it's like, how are you supposed to get into this?
Yeah. And it seems like this guy, he was at Rhinebeck this year, right?
Yes.
He seems like he's doing this just to spread the joy of spinning rather than turn a profit. Like he wants everyone that purchases one of his wheels to enjoy spinning. You know, anytime that you have questions or anything, you can like DM him or email him, and like he's available.
Yeah, and his wife made a bunch of videos on how to use the wheel. So like that's where a lot of my knowledge came from, was just practicing and watching her videos. She's very informative. And then Jess was my teacher. I went to her and I was like, how do this? How do? How do? And she taught me. She taught me everything I know to this day. And I've been spinning a lot since then. I got 2 mechanical wheels since then. I'm still learning a lot. So my current project today that I'm showing is what I talked about last week, which was the yak wool from Rhinebeck, or wool and folk.
Okay, cool.
So it's hard to see. It's kind of like shiny. It's very, very soft. So you want to take a squish?
Yeah. I do, because I saw you buy this, and I'm like, whoever gets to wear this is a lucky.
We're gonna bleep you out.
It is such a treat. There you go.
It is.
I bleeped myself.
Right. It is very soft and very squishy. And this is what it looks like roving. So you can see that I worked some up already.
We'll take a picture of it and we'll put it in the Instagram post so you guys can get like the true color.
Right. But you know, it's all thanks to her that she kind of inspired me into spinning my own yarn. I've been spinning for a while. I'm really interested in it. I have a ton of different fibers from Rhinebeck that I'm going to continue to spin. And cool. You know, I want other people to be influenced by that too. Yeah. I also have an early Christmas gift, because we weren't going to exchange gifts this time around because her gift didn't come in the mail yet.
Little
We're gonna bleep you out again.
No.
So I wound some red yarn. Now I forget the percentages of what this is, but I got it off of a website called The Woolery.
Okay.
So I wound some yarn. I wound some yarn for you, for Christmas.
Nice. Thank you so much. I love this color too. It's almost like reminds me of like a mauve almost. It's more like a dusty pink mauve color. Kind of mauvey. Not quite. Almost. But it's so pretty. Thank you.
Yes. Now, why on earth would I give her yarn for Christmas like this? My own yarn? Well, it's because at Rhinebeck, you never asked me to
Why?
She goes to her friend Jess, and like, you know, Jess is my teacher, and like, she's an amazing spinner or whatever, but she's like, Jess, can you spin me she's like, can you spin me some yarn?
Okay, prefacing, Jess had just done a show in Burlington County, New Jersey, had all these little mystery packs of different fiber, and was like, you guys want one? The first one is free. And I said, sure, why not? I mean, I'm not gonna spin it, but I'm interested to see like what's in the pack. And I have it somewhere. I'll have to post a picture. But it had gray, red, green, and like purple, or not purple, blue stellina in it. It was gorgeous. I was like, I don't know what this would spin up as, but hey, Jess, would you spin it? Like, it's your fiber, like, spin it for me. And she's like, well, I'm not just gonna spin it for free. I'm like, obviously not. I'll pay you, but like, do you mind? So, carry on with your story.
Anyway, I was betrayed that day.
Well,
It's betrayed.
Jess also had brought her spinning wheel with her.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
No. So I was going through the whole I need it now phase. Like, I see it and I want it. I want it. I buy it. And there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought this was an apt gift because I, spun you some yarn. The intention of giving it to you anyway.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the colors. I mean, I'll have to show you at some point, but my yarn stash, I realized I have a ton of, like, pink and burgundy, and I'm like, why? Apparently, I'm just, like,
We should post pictures of our yarn stashes after this episode.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I've been really into spinning, and then I recently got my Canadian production wheel that you saw a picture of last episode. What's her name?
Bertha?
Yep, Big Bertha. So she was kind of difficult to handle at first, but eventually we got on the same page and on the same groove. And now I'm waiting for oil to come from Amazon.
Okay, she needs a little bit of a drink.
She's very squeaky right now. Yep.
She's thirsty.
Yeah, she's a thirsty gal.
Anyway, as we continue the year in review, I think it's my turn again. So I should go back. Bears and Hats was my first top-down sweater as well. So it was my first sweater in general, first top-down sweater, first sweater using color work. So I'm like, okay, we got the sweater down. Let's do something a little lightweight, because by the time I finished Bears with Hats, it was already starting to warm up in New Jersey. I was like, I need something that I can actually wear now.
It was one of those 2 days where it's actually 70 degrees out and scorching.
And I was like, I can't. So I took the 2 weeks before the New Jersey Wool Walk in April, and I made myself the Maven top. I am absolutely in love with this pattern. The pattern is by Raimo, and she was based in, believe, Tucson, Arizona until recently. She's moved now, but that's a big deal because I'm actually originally from Arizona, so Tucson is more southern from where I'm from, but it was really cool to support an Arizona designer. This is a really simple pattern, basic t-shirt. The one thing to note is that you have occasional texture rows, which add this real fun texture and waviness to the fabric. But the colorway I used was yarn I picked up from the previous year's Wool Walk. It's from Less Traveled Yarns, which is also from Arizona. I have a problem. And their colorway is Hello Cleo, which is not a current colorway that they have, but I'm absolutely in love with it. I have a thing for purple and mustard. These are actually my high school colors. It was not intentional when I made the t-shirt.
It sounds pretty intentional. You got an Arizona designer, an Arizona yarn.
All right. I was feeling a little nostalgic while I was making this, but it's one of my favorite things to wear. I get a lot of compliments off of it. And she actually is in the process of doing the Maven sweater. So I can't wait for it to come out. I'm so pumped. I don't have yarn for it yet, obviously. But once it comes out, I will be purchasing the pattern, and I will be looking for yarns to use. And I might actually even, because of the way that the stripe, like the texture makes it kind of stripy, I might make it a striped sweater.
Okay.
I don't know. Might be fun.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's the Maven top by Raimo.
So, you would never really know if Madison was from Arizona because she does not have any Arizona qualities to her, except bringing a glass of water with her wherever she goes, which is...
And it's gigantic. Do you see the size of the glass to my head? Do you? It covers my entire face.
Anyway, she has a lot of New Jersey qualities to her, and so I asked her father, how did he raise such a New Jersey girl in Arizona? She was born and raised for the majority of her life in Arizona. How was she a Jersey girl? And what he said that he would talk about Jersey food all the time.
Yeah.
And pork roll and just Jersey things.
Yeah, my dad, born and raised New Jerseyan, my mom, born and raised New Jerseyan, both moved out to Arizona, a few years after they got married, raised me there, but you can't take the New Jersey out of a person. I mean, there's just no way. Like, the absolute disregard for the New the road rage, for one, the, just absolute snappy, okay, where are you going with this nature? Like, you just can't get rid of it. Now, that's not to say my parents are probably some of the nicest, most talkative people you will ever meet. That they got from living in Arizona. I inherited that. That's the one Arizona quality, other than my need to carry a gallon of water everywhere I go. I'm very afraid of being dehydrated at all times. But I talk a lot to people I don't even know. Tori has to drag me away from people, because I'll just keep talking their ear off.
That's exactly true.
But other than that, yeah, no. I spent a lot of summers here growing up because I still had family here.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I mean, Jersey Shore was like, I didn't care for any beach anywhere else. Always Jersey Shore. Always had to have custard from Coors.
Yes.
And a pork roll, egg, and cheese. No salt, pepper, ketchup.
Yes.
So, yeah.
On a plain bagel?
On a plain bagel.
Yep. And stopping at Wawa for subs.
Oh, yeah. And tasty cakes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not subs, they're called hoagies. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Anyway. That was a long tangent. Let's get back to yarn.
I like our New Jersey tangent.
I like our New Jersey tangent, too.
We gotta appreciate New Jersey.
Yeah. New Jersey love.
The armpit of America.
No! The garden state. Sorry, Mom. Anyway, Victoria, what is the next part of your yarn review, please?
So, like I mentioned last episode, we test knitted for Jennifer Steele's Tolan. Mm-hmm. And this is the Seahaven.
Oh gosh, here.
Yep, the Seahaven sweater that we test knitted for her. So this is my version of it. It's in Wonderland Yarns, Alice DK.
Yep.
And I need to like shrink it in the wash because like it's so big on me.
Yeah.
But it was so much, like I said before, so much fun testing for her.
Yeah. That was definitely a highlight for us this year, was, really getting to know Jen and working with her.
It was my first time test knitting in general, too, and I really like the experience. I like that you get something out of it, meaning, like, you get a sweater.
Yeah.
Basically for free.
Yeah. But no, I did not bring my Seahaven. I figured you were going to bring your Seahaven. But at the same time, I can show my Seafield, which
we talked about last episode.
We did also talk about last episode. But the real thing for me, and pardon I have a little tail that I never tucked in. And it's just like, it's like my tag at this point. But this is the Seafield by Jennifer Shields Toland. This is out of Sandus Garns Merino Wool in like a lilac color, and then it's Chelsea Lux Mohair in Et en Provence, which that was my really shitty French accent. En Provence. Oh my god. But like the real like shining moment for me at least was when Jen posted her newsletter like releasing the pattern, and my picture was one of the pictures chosen. It was like, it meant the world to me to like, I mean, obviously it meant the world to test knit the sweater, but to like have my picture that I had painstakingly selfied, the way that I take pictures for Instagram is just like mind boggling. Like, why do I do this to myself? But it felt the world to like, it meant the world to me to have it. Like she appreciated it so much that she included it. So
right.
I'm gonna get off my Jen train over here.
We love you, Jen.
Sorry. We love you, Jen, so much. If you can't tell, we spent like the last 3 episodes just
talking about
you. Oh God, we're insane. She's gonna, if she ever sees this, she's gonna think we're nuts. But
we love her, so it's fine.
We do.
So I started making socks this year. Unfortunately, the first sock pattern that I completed and have done, it was the Woodland Walk socks by This Handmade Life. I did them in a nice Barocco sock, and they really held up well.
Yeah, like a lovely red color, really pretty.
Oh yes. Unfortunately, I could not find them tonight. I was looking everywhere in my house. I don't know where they are, which is unfortunate because I really love the socks.
Yeah.
I did bring my favorite pair of socks that I did make this year and just in general, which is the Be Creative
Aww.
socks.
I love those socks.
So, the Be Creative socks by Ducathi. I don't know if I said her name right.
You can see the little bees.
Yeah, what's amazing about this is not only is it color work, but like she provides a bunch of different chart patterns for you to customize the socks. So you can have these were on blocks. You can have upside down bees, you can have right side up bees, you can have no bees, and just have this pattern. And then even the bottom of the gusset has a little bee motif.
That's
so cool. They were super fun to make.
What yarn did you use? Do you remember?
So I used Obsidian by Saxony Black Yarns, and a UV colorful yarn by Urban U called Now You See Me. And so I wore these to an actual like cave during the fall, and they shut off all the lights and they put on a UV light, and they actually glowed in the light, and people were pretty, amazed.
That's
and
really cool.
They're thick socks. They're so comfy. I love these socks to death. I would definitely make these again, 100%. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. No, I thought that you have picked like really cool sock patterns. You also were working on Pokemon socks at one point.
Oh yeah, and I have them with me.
Okay, cool.
So
I didn't know if you had brought them or not.
Okay. So I did what is called the Geek Along. So it's hosted by Lattes and Llamas.
Oh, that's cute.
But also they're also called Megan and Llama. So it's the Catch 'em All socks. And it was mystery. So each week you would get the top half of the sock, and then you would get the bottom half of the sock like this next week. So the first one was Squirtle. So I used some, I think this is Malabringo, and you can see Squirtle right there. And it says Pokemon on top. And somebody asked me, "Oh, what kid are you making them for?" And I said, "Me. I'm the kid."
I would wear them too.
The second one is my favorite sock that I made from the set, and it is Charmander. Aww. So you can see Pokemon Red.
Charmander, Char!
I love your impressions of them. And this is also the Barocco sock, so this is a good example of what it looks like. It holds up pretty well. And then there's 4 socks, but I only made 3 because somebody, got sidetracked.
Got sidetracked? Sidetracked.
So this is the third. So this is green. You can't really see Bulbasaur that well. Bulbasaur. But this is made with Sweet George's Party of 5.
Nice.
Which I was super excited to use.
I like that it's a fade, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's so fun.
I know, I should have faded the other way.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20, and it's
Whatever.
2022. So yeah, I love that. The last one was yellow and Pikachu, and it's it's on my needles, but I haven't touched it in months because somebody was busy.
Yes. Let's just say that I think, we'll cover that as a goal towards the end, but I think you and I need to finish up our color work projects.
Rip to the whips that are in holding.
Yes. They be mighty and they be many. Okay. So, I'm going to go... These next 2 projects were worked mostly in tandem, and the reason for that is because my husband and I got married during 2020. Woo! But because we got married in 2020, y'all know what happened. Lockdown. We didn't get to have a reception. So one of the things that we postponed to this year was our reception. We got married legally, but we hadn't had our party yet. Mm-hmm. And so we also didn't get to do a honeymoon. So the first project that I'm going to talk about is actually the honeymoon project, which this is my Slytherin pullover, and this is by Megan Reagan. I like designers that rhyme. I'll show you every motif. I had been wanting to do a Slytherin sweater for a very long time. I am a diehard Slytherin. I might not seem like it, but I definitely, like, I feel like they just get a bad rap. I align very much with Andromeda Tonks character very, very much.
Okay, do you understand why they get a bad rap?
Okay.
You literally have the death mark on your sweater.
I swear to God. Can you let me go? Anyway, I've been wanting to do this sweater for a very long time, and I hadn't found a pattern that I liked. Mm-hmm. Megan Reagan has actually created one for every single house. So they've got a Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, and Slytherin. Eventually I'll be making Dan a Hufflepuff because he is the Tet Tonks to my Andromeda Black. Anyway, getting away from this face over here, do you not know Harry Potter at all?
Hufflepuff is, like, the worst one.
Worse than Slytherin?
I mean, like, a Hufflepuff, like, doesn't really, like, do anything, but, like, Slytherin's just evil.
Anyway.
The Chamber of Secrets!
Can we, we're not going to a whole lore situation. We will go into the whole Harry Potter canon versus fanon at a different point. Not today. Anyway, the pattern is the Slytherin pullover. It is made out of variations in their deepest malachite, which is the green, obviously. And then this is the Barocco Vintage DK in Dove, which was the skein I showed before. I absolutely love working this pattern. Megan came out with several different motifs. I think I would probably end up making this exact sweater again, another Slytherin sweater, but I would switch out the death mark motif for another motif. She had, trying to think. She had a cauldron motif, which I thought would look really cool for this part, because potions is, like, really, like, tied to Slytherin with, like, Snape and Slughorn both being Slytherins themselves.
Snape!
I'm gonna have to get off this topic. Anyway, we were going...
He kills Dumbledore!
We'll have this conversation later, lady. We'll have a whole episode just talking about our favorite fantasy and, like, literature, and Harry Potter will probably take up a bunch of that. So, but our honeymoon was going to be in Scotland, and so we finally got to take that trip, and one of the things we were doing was taking the Hogwarts Express. So, of course, I had to have a sweater to rep on the train. I will post a picture from me with the train. My family was very, very supportive of the fact that I wanted to wear my sweater and rep on, my parents have come to terms with it. You need to too. Okay. So this is the first project. I had a lot of fun doing it. I've had a lot of compliments. Other people want house sweaters. That is all on, like, hold. Like, I'm not making anyone else one. Because it is, even though this is probably the easiest color work project I did this year, because it's only two colors, but it's still work. Like,
sweaters are work.
It's a ton of work. Anyway, the other project that was in connection with that is this lovely shawl, which I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, this is the front. This is the Ziggy shawl by Joji Locatelli. It is made out of. It is a schlanket. I purposely made it that way. This is designed with fingering weight yarn, and I'm pretty sure Sanis Garn's Alpaca Wool is actually like a DK. So I use the same amount of yardage, and obviously, like, it's a lot bigger. It's also paired with Chelsea Lux mohair in stiletto and jeans, which I love that mohair so much. Like, it's probably my favorite mohair that I've tried this year. But I didn't want a traditional white wedding shawl. I still wanted to have a little bit of white, so there's pearlescent white in the mohair, but one of the wedding colors was navy, and so I wanted to have that included. And then one of the other wedding colors was rust, and there's little bits of rust in the mohair. So I felt like this is not only something, especially reminds me of the day, but I kind of re-wear it. Like, I wear this thing all the time, and it's wonderful and fluffy, especially right now. Like, because it's so thick, like, on these really windy days, I can literally wrap it around myself several times, and it keeps me warm. Alpaca's just normally warm, and, like, now I've got, like, a huge blanket worth of alpaca. So, it's one of my only shawl projects. It's the only shawl that I'm going to show tonight. I have others that I have worked on this year, but this is definitely, like, I'll be doing more Hoodie patterns in the future.
So there's a project that I would like to talk about that I made this year.
Okay.
It was the Cape May cap by yours truly. I don't have it with me because I gave it to a friend, so...
Well, if you could have waited a second, I was about to talk about it. Because, of course, I had to talk about my next pattern, which was I designed a pattern. I actually wrote the original pattern on New Year's Day of 2022.
Oh, wow.
I was in Cape May with my family, staying at Airbnb. It was really rainy, so we spent a little bit of time, obviously, exploring, but you know, it wasn't really a great day to be out and about. So, of course, I have remnants of previous projects with me, and so I just take the leftover yarn and I start writing a pattern. It is a color work pattern, however, there's no floats because it's slip stitches. And essentially, you get the look of a color work pattern without doing all of that work. So this original hat is actually, like, more like the large size and the more like men's size of the pattern. It's worked out of Malabrigo Rios in Frank Ochre, Barocco Ultra Alpaca DK in Barley and Ocean Mix. I've since made the hat in other variations with other yarns, and again using the same yarns, just different colors. And it was published Labor Day of this year. Yep. And I'm so proud of it. Like, I know it took me a while because I was just testing out different things. You know, when you're doing the pattern process, you're like, first when you're knitting a pattern, you're like, okay, this is easy. Like, it's just knitting. No, like taking in fact gauge, weight of yarn, how much yarn I use, what needle size, okay, now I've got to test it on a different type of yarn because what if my gauge is different, and like seeing if I can just continually replicate the same sizing. Okay, now we're working decreases. Do I like the look of the decreases? No. Okay, so we're gonna revise that. So that's why it took so long.
Oh yeah, and she was very inclusive by providing literal sizes for every head size.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah. No, at least for adults. I do want to do children's sizes in the future, but I haven't had a chance yet, and I was going to use my niece as a sample, but I need to remeasure her head because obviously she's 4. She's grown since the last time I made her a hat, so I want to have an accurate measurement.
Yeah, and I basically begged her to test knit her pattern for her.
She's like, I need to do it now, and I need to do it sooner rather than later because I want to do it. Like, constantly, she's like, so where are we at? Can I do it? Is it ready? Is it ready?
Yeah. And
you had so much fun doing it.
I did have so much fun doing it, and there's one mistake, unfortunately, that I did.
That you did. Okay.
Yes.
No, not thank God that you made a mistake. Thank God it wasn't in my pattern.
No, it wasn't your pattern. So most patterns are written to, where you change the needle size. It's written in the pattern where to change it. She wrote it in the beginning, so when I went to the section that needed a new needle size, I didn't change it.
I didn't write change here. I just said at the top, I said after the ribbing, change to the larger needle size at the top. So that was added into the final copy. Thank you very much.
See, this is why you have test knitters like me, because
very critical of my work.
Things like that happen. So one of the things that Madison did set up this summer.
Oh yeah.
Was a knit along.
Yeah.
And so we have the Gather Shawl.
Ooh, yeah.
By Andrea Mowry. And I believe that the yellow here that you see is Madeline Tosh.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm blanking on the blue, but I'll probably look it up when I'm editing, and I'll just
include it.
I'll slide it in. Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was worried that I wasn't gonna finish on time because I had COVID. And
but you did finish on time.
I know, I was quite, I really, I was like, I really gotta finish it on time. And then I wore this to her wedding, so.
Yes, you did. I wanted to do a free knit-along event with the store. I felt like it was a good opportunity where, you know, a lot of people go away during the summer, so sometimes classes, unless, like, it's a beginner class, it's not always the easiest to coordinate schedules. So I figured let's just do a free form, you know, event. Everyone's doing the same pattern. If you want to grab the Gosh Yarn It bag real quick.
Oh.
I actually decided I was going to do two different versions of the Gather Shawl. One to be a sample for Beyond Yarn, which they do have. I did finish it during the knit-along. And then another one for myself. I did not finish mine because I wanted to prioritize the sample. But here, I got a little bit through it, if I can get everything situated. Apparently not. Hold on. All in the name of making sure I don't lose needles. This is what happens, Tori, when I get to do things.
When you just exist?
And I just exist. I didn't think this through. Okay.
Like most things.
Anyway, I have obviously finished section 1 and section 2. And there's 6 sections? 5 sections?
Yeah, something like that.
So the first color is Less Traveled Yarns in the colorway Sedona. And then also Less Traveled Yarns in the colorway Brick House. And I can show you Brick House in the nice knitted house. And I'll show a picture because it's not really showing up that great.
Right.
But it's a nice variegated. The whole idea, it's a garter. It's an asymmetrical shawl that utilizes garter and a basic lace pattern. So I knew this would be a great pattern to do as a group because it's not gonna, I mean, other than the asymmetrical bias, like styling, there's not like simple knit 2 together and yarn over and then garter.
Yeah, it was definitely my first time doing a shawl that was asymmetrical like that. So it was a learning experience, definitely. But other than that, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then you saw the other 2 projects that I did mostly during the end of summer and then the fall, which were the granola sweaters by Rosa Palmer that I made us, and you've seen
worn them previously, and they're also in
our graphics.
Graphics.
Don't need to go more into that, and so I'm ready for.
You're done. I've got one more, which I forgot to tell you about, but this was my Rhinebeck sweater that I made that I wore on Saturday during Rhinebeck. This is the Spring Sorrel by Woollen Pine, and it's made out of Primrose Yarns, Roan Decay, and the color Divine. I love rust, if you can't tell, too. It's got this lovely dip stitch motif, which after doing the dip stitch is also in reverse stockinette, which in layman's terms, I just purled the whole body. I hate it.
I would have just done it in reverse and just knit the whole body.
I tried that, and my brain wasn't working.
Okay.
It wasn't going. Anyway, I love it. It's kind of like a crop top style, so I wear it with like high-waisted skirts or over a dress. It's so comfy and super thick, so like it's gonna be great. I think it'd be great with like over a turtleneck during the winter, because it's definitely like it's big and bulky enough to work kind of like a sweater vest, honestly.
Right.
And then for fall time as like a crop top.
Right.
But yeah, so that was my Rhinebeck sweater. Definitely have, I bought that yarn at Rhinebeck in 2021 because they didn't have it in 2020. So my goal was to wear Rhinebeck yarn at Rhinebeck 2022. And we're doing that again this year. So, or in 2023. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think my goal is to spin yarn,
Okay.
make it into a garment
Okay.
to wear at Rhinebeck. So I
Okay.
got a lot of roving, so I think I'm gonna spin it to make it into something that I will wear, and then wear it to Rhinebeck where I bought the yarn.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was all garments and stuff. A little bit of other things wrapped in. What is next? Do you want to talk yarn? Do you want to talk gadgets?
Yeah, let's talk about gadgets.
Okay, cool. All right. I will start off with one. It's not really a gadget, but I've talked about it briefly. This is Tough Woolen's Rich Lanolin Balm, or Lanolin Rich Balm. I can't spell or say things properly, but
Saying things is hard.
saying things is hard. I had heard about them from the Grocery Girls before Rhinebeck, but we saw them at Cake Palooza, and now I'm gonna put some on my hands because girlfriend needs a little love. We talked their ear off. I bought several of their products, but this is one of my favorites, and you literally, it's at first hard to get, but you really have to press in and then just like rub it. And I have one in every active project. I only have 3 containers, so I try to only have 3 active projects.
Does it make your your yarn softer while you're making it?
I mean, yeah, lanolin naturally makes the wool softer. The other thing is, like, it also just helps heal your damn cuticles. Because when you work with wool, it just kind of sucks all the moisture out of your hands.
Right.
So it just kind of provides, you know, a little extra loving. But Tough Woolens has a wonderful website. They sell several different scents. The one I love the most is Tattered Pages. I also got a limited edition cider donut scent, which was obviously for fall. They have one that's spiced orange cake, which sounds really interesting to me.
Ooh.
But
sounds delicious.
that might be like a hopefully if it's still on their website in January, I might pick up one of those.
I forget the scent that I got when we were at Rhinebeck.
Yeah. The other thing is they also have unscented. So if you are if you can't handle scent, like that bothers you, they have this in unscented, and they also make it in stick form. So if you don't really like tens like this, they make it almost in like a deodorant form. It's a little less product. You get more product in the tin, but if you prefer the stick, I'm sorry, I'm like sponsor us, please.
Please sponsor us.
We're a little on the nose. Sorry. Anyway, so this is like, it's not a gadget, but it definitely is a necessity in my yarn bag.
Right.
Because it saves my life. You want to say something?
Yeah, so one of the gadgets that I want to, I guess, talk about is Chiago Minis. I bought both sets this year.
Now there's a third one.
I know.
Okay.
I know, it's deadly. So these are godsend for sleeves, socks, and everything in between.
Yeah,
I'm using them for my shawl.
Yeah.
Like, literally using it on a longer cable for my shawl. It's amazing.
No, the fact that these tips will fit on so many different cable sizes, like, it's just stellar. And the fact, like, now that they've come out with the larger sizes, like, I don't have the red pack, which is for socks, like, smaller, like your 00, 000 to 2.
So I believe it's 0 to 3.
Okay. Only 0 to 3? There's no 00?
No, there's no 00.
Okay. I'm making stuff up now.
Yeah.
And then I have the sizes 4 to 8, and then they come out with a 9 to 12.
I think so.
I want the 9 to 12s because I've worked a couple different pieces that were needing, it was still like fingering weight or DK weight, but they were using a larger gauge. So using a 9 or a 10, and I'm working a sleeve, and I'm like, this is miserable. My gauge is now all wacko.
Right.
Like, I don't want this. And I don't want to do a sweater that's worsted weight that calls for a size larger than an 8 needle.
Right.
Like, that's just insane to me.
Right. And so,
you're using them right now.
Yeah, so I'm using them right now. So they come actually with 2 needle sizes of the same size. So you have, I believe this is like the 3-inch this
The
really
3-inch
tight.
tip.
Yeah, you have the 3-inch, and then you have like the 2-inch,
Yeah.
so you could see them right next to each other, which is really helpful for making socks where you need 2 needles. So
Yeah.
I have like a size 1, but with a really long cable, and you can't physically work for socks.
No.
So these are a godsend for socks, sleeves, doing sleeves
Yeah.
on a sweater,
Yeah.
anything in between.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that they did come out with the larger sizes.
Right, I'm gonna have
too.
to get
That's
those.
gonna be an investment.
Right.
My next gadget, since we talked about shorties already, I don't need to bring mine up. Another thing that I picked up, and this was during the wool walk. I'd seen these before, and when I'm at home, I want to use my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm out in public, if I need a chart or pattern, I'm not bringing my laptop with me, and I don't want to look on my phone. So, in comes the Cocoa Knits Maker's Board. It's literally just a lovely canvas magnetic board.
Mm-hmm.
And you can bring your printed pattern, post it on there. They sell rulers on the side, so that you can, use it to kind of like match up where you are in the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I also just use like the pink highlighter tape. I really like that, which is a lot of fun. But this has become a godsend while I've been working at the store on stuff, specifically colorwork patterns,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to continue to like look down at my lap at the chart and then look back at my work, look down. And most of the time I'm working at just a little tiny
Area, yeah.
tiny area, so paper's falling off my lap. It's just not conducive. So this has been a lot of fun to use.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I'm at home, I use my laptop. When I'm out, I use this.
Right,
So,
and it looks like it's travel size too.
it does. It fits perfectly. I've got a nice little pouch in my yarn backpack that fits in real nice, so it's not like jumbled around with everything else.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's been really, really helpful.
All right, what's your last
Gadget.
Yep.
Well, I brought this baby up earlier
Mm-hmm.
in the podcast. It finally arrived. It is my Yarn Tech Yarn Swift in Woolnight. I've already used it several times. I'm sorry, it had to be included in the year in review because it's already changed my life so much. I've had it for a week.
I have it for a week, and I love it.
If
If anything were to happen to it, I would
kill people over this Swift. I'm not you think I'm kidding.
No.
I'm not kidding.
We're crazy.
This is not suitable content for children. Anyway, so this is absolutely lovely. I've been using it. This is obviously just the arms.
Right.
It comes in 3 pieces. I've been using this during our podcast to hold my yarn up. This is the base. There's little pegs that the arms will sit on, and that way it spins. And then it comes with this little cake holder.
Spindle?
Spindle. And that also has holes to sit on the base, so I can use that kind of like as a yarn.
Yeah.
I didn't just drop that. Anyway. This is our normal life. I throw things at Tori all the time. Anyway. I'm in love. I've only had it for a week. I have a large pile of yarn that needs to get balled up, and I can't wait to do it. So that's my last gadget of the year.
All right,
absolutely
so
love it.
our last segment for today is, I guess, like what we want to do next year and goals for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So my goals for next year are steeking, which I talked about last episode. Had never steeked before. It scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And also brioche. So I'm not scared of brioche. It's just something that I haven't done yet, and Madison has been bugging me to do brioche.
I think you'd love it, and I actually have a beginner pattern. I know we talked about a hat for you.
Right.
But I actually think it'd be really cool for you to do a cowl.
Yeah, probably. Okay. I mean, like, it just takes, like, I just need the motivation to do it.
Yeah, I think I have the perfect project for you. Okay. It's another project that I got to do along with Jen this year. It's her Tempestus cowl, and I'll have to just insert a picture of it because I don't have it right here. But it's a brioche cowl where you do basic brioche knit and brioche purl stitches, and you've got some basic increases in details, which just makes beautiful like finding effects.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, and there's color changes, which is kind of
Right.
fun too. But yeah.
Oh,
I
and
think that'd
double
be great for
knitting.
you.
So
You want to do double knitting?
like double-sided knitting. So
Ooh, okay.
probably doing like a scarf or something like that. Because I found it interesting. I have a book on color work, and
Okay.
I think that would be an interesting project.
Fun. Very cool. I think for next year, I do want to do seeking. I don't have a project in mind yet, but I think that'd be a fun adventure for us to kind of like do together.
Yeah.
Probably film it. Very scary.
Yeah, I know.
But gotta do it actually. But other than seeking, I talked previously. I want to start doing socks. I thought I might be able to do them this year. In my own brain, I did not like broadcast that to anyone else. But I got really obsessed with other things like sweaters. I made so many sweaters this year. But I would like to start learning how to make socks because I've had requests for socks from my father, and I would like to make him some socks. So steeking and socks. I have a couple patterns that I want to do.
Oh yeah, same.
Okay, I have two patterns. One of which is in this lovely journal, which is called Yarn, the Journal of Scottish Yarns. It's obviously out of Edinburgh, Scotland. But one of the patterns is called the Aggie Highlander Cow Jumper. And this, I believe, includes some intarsia, which I've never done, obviously. But I saw this pattern immediately on Instagram, and the moment I saw it, I DM'd Victoria with the post.
Right.
I had to make it. Unfortunately, the only way to get the pattern, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately to me, I didn't have access to the pattern because I did not have a subscription to Yarn, the Journal of Scottish Yarns. So now I do. And it's an amazing literary experience, tons of history and tons of patterns. But Aggie, the Highland Cow Jumper, is one thing that I'm interested in doing next year because I just need the cow. The Highland cow, I need it in my life. And then the other pattern, which is another thing I haven't done, it's called the Cloud Bow, and it's by Reed Kays, and it is an all-over mohair blouse. It's just mohair. And it's got a nice peplum. I know I said at some point previously that I wasn't going to do a sweater with mohair in it. But this is all mohair, no merino, just mohair. And I think I'm going to wear it to one of the weddings that I have next year. So that's the goal. And I think for the two of us, other than the steeking goal, I think we need a mutual goal to finish our color work projects that we set out to do.
Oh my god, I just need to finish projects in general.
I mean, yeah, but like I told you I wanted to finish the Octopus mitts before the end of winter. And the only reason I haven't gotten any farther was because of gift knitting.
Right.
I know you want to finish the Pika sock.
I know. I also have a bunch of other projects that I want to do.
Yeah?
Like Gold Star by Max the Knitter.
Yeah.
So my grandmother requested a cloche hat, so I have that down. I'm going to get commissioned to do a Thomas the Tank Engine sweater.
Okay.
From a vintage pattern that was purchased for this for our friend Erin because she's requesting it, and she said she'll throw money at me. So
fair enough.
I can't say no to throwing money at me.
Yeah.
Orwell's Garden Cowl by Knitted Bliss JC, which if you look it up is absolutely gorgeous. The Buffalo Rose Pullover by Casey Knitting Co., which is absolutely gorgeous. The name, Buffalo doesn't really come off as like...
No.
Yeah, you gotta see this to believe it. And then I want to make a sweater dress at some point. I have a bunch of patterns saved.
You just haven't picked one yet.
Yeah, I have not picked one yet. I have not decided.
Okay.
So... That's it for 2023. That's kind of my goals.
For you? Okay. I want to backtrack a little bit. I do have 2 designs in the works that have been both, again, put on hold because of gift knitting.
Right.
But I do want to publish another, at least both of those designs during 2023, if not some additional ones.
Right.
And then we have sweaters that I bought yarn for at Rhinebeck.
Right.
I would like to complete one of those, whether it's my Sanderson, my Cargill, my Alpenglow, or the Autumn Court. Yep. I bought all for those sweaters, and I'd love to at least get one of them done so I can wear it for Rhinebeck next year.
Yeah. I need to finish the Cargill, so.
Yep.
So I think we did it.
Yep. That was episode 3.
3.
I was going to say that's 2.
I beat 4, actually.
3. And so I think, this goes without saying, thank you so much for the people that are listening and watching us each episode. It really means the world to us.
Yeah, and bearing with our antics.
all the tantrums and all the swears. Thank you so much for making these the last month amazing.
Right. And just thank you for our yarn supporters in general before even doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And after doing this podcast.
Yep.
You guys are amazing. We love you so much.
Yeah. And you make us want to do all this amazing stuff.
Right.
Having the support means the world.
Right.
But yeah, I guess this is it for 2022.
Yeah.
And the next time you will see us is 2023.
Yeah.
So, I'm Madison.
I'm Tori.
And this has been The Real Knitwives of Hunterdon County. Bye!